Let's talk lockouts. League of Legends, North American League of Legends, the LCS, the League Championship Series, the birthplace of Team Solo Mid. That's the birthplace. I don't know about anything else. Different video, different time. Anyway, North American League of Legends is on fire. So, on Sunday, the LCSPA, the Players Association, group of players, not really union, kind of, sort of, almost. Anyway, the LCSPA collectively came together and said, walk out. We ain't playing. We won't see you when we see you. And I think this is a good thing. I'm fully in support of the players. I hope it works out. I'm not sure it will. So we see lockouts in traditional. This is kind of funny, actually. Working in esports, a lot of times the powers that be, the money folks, the guys in suits and ties, they always come through and they're like, oh, we want you to be more like traditional sports. Look at them. And like, you know what? What's more trad sports than a fucking lockout? So here we are, baby. Let's dive in. So traditional sports and lockouts have happened all the time. I'm American. This is the lens I'm going to go through. All the time's a big word, but it happens. We've seen it in the MLB, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, right? Players come together and they say, hey, usually it's about money. Sometimes it's about like trade rules and free agency, like legality, you know? But most of the time it's just about compensation. You guys are making $1,000,000,001. Me too, please. Most of the time it works. These players are larger than life names. You know, what's the NBA without LeBron James or J.R. Smith? What is the MLB without Shohei Ohtani? And you just replace them with somebody else, right? These names matter. And so a lot of times the players kind of get their way. There was one time in the 80s where the NFL kind of failed and, well, I don't know. Most of the time the players get their way. And good. The LCSPA's walkout is not about money directly. It's about infrastructure and the health of the league. And I actually really like that. Here, let me show you their statement. So there's two sentences here that really matter. The first one, the walkout vote has overwhelmingly passed. And the second one, we stand at this impasse because actions were taken by Riot without prior communication or discussion with the LCS players. Now, this is not the strongest leg to stand on, admittedly. I've worked league operations before. I've worked on the other side. And sometimes players and orgs don't know everything as soon as the league knows due to legality. Sometimes you just don't need to know. This is one of those things that, like, nah, everyone should have known. And the LCSPA, listen, this statement, I'm here for all this stuff. You know me. I like this cushy, then not a decision the LCS play. This is a historic moment, you know. We want to ensure, like, it's just nothing. It's a bunch of nothing statements. Tell me what happened. I'll tell you what happened. North American League of Legends on fire. Esports in general is seeing a little bit of a step back. Okay, the bubble is burst, is a quick and dirty, but realistically, you know, there's a lot of outside money that was coming in, and that's no longer coming in. I don't think the dream is over. Different video, but realistically, League of Legends is pretty comfy. Okay, they're vibing, they're chilling. They will probably see some broadcast changes, but like everyone's still rooting for Faker. Everyone's still watching. The LCK, the LPL, the LEC is a premier esports program. Cool. North America is a little on fire. North America overwhelmingly sucks. Sorry. They're just not good at League of Legends. And as a result, people are kind of leaving. Team Solo Mid literally left the region. You know, Andy and his black and white team started here in North America, obviously. And after all these years, they're just like, listen, dude, League is not happening in NA the way it used to. We're out. Deuces. I honestly respect that move. Do your thing, homie. But what's left in North America? A bunch of people holding the bag. And the esports isn't always about return on investment, but you can't just like light money on fire over and over and over and over again like the dude from the Blacklist. So what you have is a system real quick. You've got the pro level teams and they have secondary teams. They are required to have academy level teams, which are sort of farm programs, sort of minor league. Like it is a way to allow developing players to eventually be called up to the pro team theoretically. And that's a big deal. A lot of esports churn comes from trying to find a path to pro is the marketing terminology you'll hear a lot. Okay, so this guy's getting paid $90,000 to play Apex Legends for 40 hours a week. He's going to get better at a very high rate. But what about the guy who's working 40 hours a week at the Verizon store and trying to become that guy's competitor? How is he going to compete with 10 hours, 15 hours a week of gameplay versus this guy that does it full time? How do we find a way to embrace an amateur, a pro amateur scene and create a path to pro? That's something that a lot of games struggle to figure out. Traditional sports don't really have that problem. Collegiate and everything is like buried in it's ingrained in our society. We were watching Carmelo Anthony in a high school jersey. LeBron James was on ESPN before his first college game. Like, done, son. Path to pro is easy in traditional sports. Esports, that's where the lack there is, because there's money. There's money in pro esports, but there's no money in amateur esports. So this academy team was sort of a necessary, I won't say evil, because it's a good thing overall for players in the scene, but if I'm a money person, that's a necessary evil because it will replenish. With the Bjergsen retirements and all these people leaving, how do you replace the Bjergsens of the league? The answer is with that infrastructure. Well, with North America going on fire, Team Solo Mid leaving and all this stuff happening, the LCS had a vote with the organizations as to whether or not they would keep the academy team requirement. And that vote passed in, there is no longer a requirement. I was going to say a negative, but it depends on which way you look at it. There's no longer a requirement to have an academy team. Not every squad, not every org has blown up their academy team, but a bunch have. There are over 70 people that are without a job, players, coaches, etc., that are now don't have a job. Rip you, dude. GG. Hope there's a re. That sucks. I objectively think it's the wrong call for League of Legends infrastructurally. It's just the wrong call with respect to the building of the program. And so this is the specific reason that the LCSPA has voted to walk out. The lack of communication. They wanted the LCS to talk to them as players and ask them, maybe, you know what? The information isn't even out there. I don't know if the LCSPA wanted to be asked. I assume they wanted to be part of the decision-making process. But at least tell them, at least communicate, because that didn't even happen. And as a result, the League of Legends players will not take the server. They simply will not play. They're not going to play. A little, like I said, in defense of the people that have lost their jobs already, and hopefully in defense of the grand scheme of things, saying like, listen, we need an academy program for this to have longevity. And I agree. Here's where it gets dicey. The big names in League of Legends are not in the LCS. We simply do not have those superstar names anymore. When we talk about traditional sports, we can mention these giant names, and the game simply is not the same with different people on the field. If all the NBA players sit out and you replace them with Joe Biggins and Michael Cromulent, like, it's not the same game because I'm not watching Draymond Green bark at LeBron James. I'm not watching any of these people. Joker is not out here putting up fantastic numbers and then going home and playing Overwatch in the ranked queue. You're getting these people that you don't know who they are, and so much of sports is the person. With NALCS, there are absolutely hardcore fans that have their hardcore favorites and love their stuff. But big picture, the LCS doesn't have name power like some of these other leagues. And the LCS changed their rules, their roster rules, like yesterday, to allow for scabs. A scab is somebody that crosses the picket line. The players are saying, we won't walk, we won't play. And a scab is somebody that goes, I will. And here's the thing. I'm not sure if this walkout will work because there are replacement players. And those replacement players might step up. Here's a message to replacement players that have never seen a traditional sports lockout or whatnot. Traditional sports, baseball and football and basketball, and they have had lockouts and replacement players have come in, and there is a single replacement player that I can think of that is memorable today, and he's a broadcaster, right? These ex-academy players absolutely should not scab. You will forever be remembered as the player that crossed the picket line. If you're an absolute nobody, it can be enticing to scab depending on how much they're going to pay you, but not worth. You'll be on one LCS game ever, and then you will be effectively blacklisted by anybody associated with the Players Association. Nobody's ever going to mess with you because you've now proven that the individual is more important than the entity. The players are sacrificing their livelihoods, their well-being, and their mental state to hopefully have some sort of leverage against this giant behemoth of the LCS. And if all these people come in and decide to play, you're spitting on the effort that the North American players are outputting here, the risk they're taking. So I think it's just don't scab. Don't do it. If you are good enough to be sniffing this level, the repercussion is important that you will never be involved in professional League of Legends. And that is a cultural thing that we as viewers and esports fans and esports industry folk have to uphold. I watch the LCS regularly. I will not watch the LCS during the player walkout. I think that's important that we do that. We have to support the players because we have to look for that infrastructure. We have to support the ecosystem at large if we want to see this sort of thing succeed. And what the players are doing is commendable, and I hope it works out. But the lack of name power really kind of scares me. In fact, if I want to wear my evil hat, TSM leaving North America marks the end of an era. We got the 100 Thieves team of Bjergsen and everybody, and that was super cute. Over. Fresh page. And if I'm the LCS and I can start with a whole bunch of cheap, new, young talent, I'm excited about this walkout. So it really, really has to do with the fans. The players are walking out, and we have to not tune in. I implore you to watch the LEC. I implore you to watch the LCK. Please watch the other stuff. But specifically the LCS, this walkout won't mean much if everybody tunes in. It's an uphill battle. I think when we talk about esports, we have to talk about infrastructure. Otherwise, we inevitably talk about the inevitable death. when the wave one players go away, who takes over? That answer is a lot harder if there is no infrastructure, if there is no path to pro, if there is no walkway onto the walkway. So these are the things, it's interesting that these are the things that esports players associations are standing up for. It almost seems more noble than a couple of dollars in the pocket, but traditional sports is always about equal revenue share. But I'm here for it, man. I want to see it work out. I don't know if it will. The LCSPA should have put out a more robust statement telling us about the academy situation and all this. Because I guarantee you there are fans out there that are like, who cares? You should care. This is big picture esports stuff. And how this goes, everybody's taking note. Not just League of Legends, not just Riot Games. Other fans are watching. Other scenes are watching. The other tournament organizers and first-party publishers are watching. How this walkout goes will be a big deal in the esports world. I hope it goes well for the players. I hope they get what they want. And I hope that North American League of Legends stays a region with a robust infrastructure that allows new talent to come in. I would like to celebrate new players, and I would like to see League of Legends go on for another 10 years. This walkout is going to be a big point in esports history in general. But, yeah, man. NA League of Legends, here it is. Like, comment, and subscribe. See ya. Boom, 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 boom.